Natural hair, y'all. Natural hair. You know what? Natural hair can be a great subject to talk about, but it can also be a touchy subject. Now, I started transitioning into natural hair when I was about 16 years old, and I've loved it. Like, I've loved it since then. And I love to see today just so many women and men just loving their natural hair, loving their coils, loving, you know, their texture of hair. But with all of that, even though we see so much positivity surrounding it, there still is certain words that can be triggering to us, whether they're meant in a positive light or not. And one of those words is the word nappy. So let's get into it.
Oh, I'm a boss, I'm that chick that ain't no news. Since I see you, I cry sometimes, but I survive. That's just what I do.
So upon trying to be this great, amazing singer, actress, dancer, okay, I work a 9-to-5 job in a corporate office in New York. So y'all see my hair straight. If you've watched some of my recent vlogs and different things like that, you would know that I don't really wear my hair like this. I actually just dropped a video talking about this silk press. This was my first silk press in 3 years, okay? I don't normally wear my hair straight. And so people in my office, they're used to seeing me with my big, you know, puff and things like that. So yesterday in the office, I was sitting in my cubicle, you know, typing away, you know, watching and listening while I'm listening to. And my coworker came up, one of the older coworkers, very sweet lady, just beautiful inside and out. And she walks up to me and she says, "Every time I see you sitting here, I never recognize you." She said, like, when are you getting your naps back? Like, when are you bringing back the nappy hair? And I'm like, you talk about my curls? My curls that I be, she's like, yes. And then she proceeds to talk about her daughter and different things like that. But I couldn't really register anything else after that. As soon as she left, I walked over to my coworker, you know, kind of across, who, you know, similar hair texture, and I told her about it, and I was just so taken aback. But she was saying it in a positive light, but I couldn't receive it like that. It made me think about the word nappy. Like, no matter how much is said in a positive light, has so much damage been done that, you know, we can't receive that word anymore. We have to get into the history of the word nappy, right? Because the history, I feel like, is the reason why there are so many feelings that are being had about the word nappy, specifically for me. So let's get into the history, y'all. I didn't mean to do air quotes. So this is not going to be no dissertation about the word nappy, okay? There are plenty of videos on YouTube, but I wanted to do the research for me. So I might just read, because I read off of what I have, just because I really want to get it clear. And I'm going to be linking all the sources that I got it from. But so I'm going to be looking over here so I can really read, so I can know what it is, you know, what I'm saying to y'all. But the word nappy, right? Nappy's history is tangled up in the arrival of the first slave ships on the coastlines of the Americas, okay? In the 17th century, the likely origin of the term in the word nap, which was used to describe the frizzled threads raised from a piece of fabric. So it's editing Destiny here. So the word nap, the origin, right? Like, it was used as something that needed to be, taken away. Like, nap needed to be pressed out, needed to be taken out. So it was already, the origins of it is a negative thing. Keep that in mind. Okay. This was an opinion part, but I liked this part. So there's a lot of speculation that nap was redefined as a disparaging phrase for the coils and kinks in the hair of the Africans enslaved in connection with the fields of cotton. In the 17th century, or during slavery, like, one of the ways that Europeans were able to exercise their superiority or make themselves superior was by coming against the features and the hair and the skin and the looks of Black people. It was a way to kind of keep them feeling bad about themselves because we were so different from them. And we know that in Africa, hair was used as a status symbol, okay? If your hair was did, you know, done up to the nine, that was a status of who you are and how you deemed yourself to be. So it kind of makes sense that a way that they would use to break us and break our image and how we want to view ourselves is to come against our hair. About the Ting knot laws, Lord Jesus, during the 1800s was basically, you know, or European men and women were threatened by just all the amazing and beautiful things that we could do with our hair, that Black women could do with their hair. So they basically made it illegal for you to wear your natural hair out. You had to wear some type of headscarf, some type of something to cover up your hair, which is still moved its way into today, which I don't think is a negative thing, because I think that is a symbol of how we took something that they tried to use as something to cover up our beauty as a way to enhance our beauty even more. You know what I'm saying? It just amazes me how the nature of our hair, the beauty of our hair was so threatening to them, but they had to figure out ways to break that down and break that confidence to keep us enslaved here and physically as well. Sylvester Torres Salant. Okay, I had to get his name right, baby. I had to look that up. He's the professor of humanities of Syracuse University. He said hair texture was one of the many rationalizations of the perceived subhuman status of the African. Just another way to kind of separate, another way to kind of categorize who we are, or who the enslaved were by their hair.
Having nappy hair, aka coiled or curly hair, meant that social inequalities could be justified. So let's think about what this would do to the mind of Black people. It makes you want to suppress or make manageable your so-called naps or natural hair texture so you can have a better chance at life. So this negative connotation is going to naturally spew over into the Black community, and it's going to make mothers and fathers make their children straighten or add chemicals to their hair to get rid of those negative naps. It's going to become an insult for kids and family members to use against one another, and it's going to become a word that makes you feel unkept, because that's the definition the word took on. The U Dictionary defines nappy as kinky of the hair of Blacks and used derogatory or contemptuously.
So let's move from there, and then we move into, you know, the civil rights era, the Black Panther era, the 1960s and 50s era, where Black is beautiful and our natural hair is amazing. It's, you know, just formed beautifully. We got the puffs, we got the afros, and everyone is loving how this looks, loving this bigness, because after so long of the press and curl and trying to suppress your hair because certain jobs you wouldn't be able to walk into, and in some ways it's still that way today, but they said, look, to hoot with that, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and rock my afro, rock my puff, and I'm gonna go ahead and make it beautiful and make it amazing, right? Which brings me to the point of how the word nappy has had an effect on the Black community today. Now, that was just a short synopsis of the history, but there are many great documentaries, My Heritage, and there are a lot of other different ones that talk about our hair. So I'll link a lot of those below so you can kind of get more into the history. But it always, I need to sit for this one. It always made me so confused, right, about certain reactions of the generations that came before us, because like my parents, my mom and some of my aunts were a part of these era where the Afro puff and the natural hair texture was a thing, was like what they used. So to my dismay, when I became natural, you know, when I started transitioning into hair, you know, like, oh, your hair is nappy, or it looks unkept, or it looks on this or like that. And I would be so shocked because you were part of a time where you wore afro, you wore a bush. And the responses I would get was, yeah, but they were sculpted correctly. They were sculpted nice. It was still a fro. Whether mine is a curly fro, whether mine is just literally the way it grows out of my head, like, it's all still the same coils. So here's my point about it, right? Growing up, for me, I have never, this is just for me, I have never heard the word nappy in a positive light. I have always heard it as something bad. Always. And I've heard a lot of people compare the word nappy to the other N words, the N-I-G-G-A, you know what I'm saying? And I get how they can compare that. And in some ways I get it. But I think the difference between that word is Black people for a long, long time has used that word as a term of endearment. And though I'm not for the word, I think the word, I don't care for the word either. But Black people, you know, they use it as a term of endearment as well. It's normally an issue when a person outside of our race says it. And some people have taken on that same feeling about the word nappy, but I don't really think it holds the same weight. And I mean to say that because I've never heard Black people use the word nappy as things that are a term of endearment toward each other. Me personally, living in America, being from Philadelphia, I've never heard it. It's always been a negative thing, whether it's from your mama, it's from them girls down the street, it's from those guys who don't think that you cute. It's always been coined as a negative and disparaging term versus the other N word, which is like, yo, this is something that we use to love one another. You know, that's a whole nother thing. So I don't think that that can hold the same weight. However, I was looking at a story online. Get to my notes here. And this young lady was talking about, she's from South Africa, and she was talking about how there's a word that they use. It's called boesikap. Hope I'm saying that right. If I'm, you know, botching it, I'm sorry. But she said in South African household, we often joke about our boesikap, which loosely transition as wild or nappy in English. She said, you know, my mom will say, oh, don't get my boesikap, girl. Don't get it in that picture. Or she said, my sisters and I will send images saying that our hair or our boesikap is running all the way back to Africa to emphasize how big our hair is that particular day. But it's not used as a bad term. It's used as like, oh, girl, look at that boesikap. Or, okay, you know, so basically it's like me saying, girl, them naps is looking amazing, honey. But I don't hear nobody use it that way. I don't hear no one say it that way, you know, in our community. To me, I often wonder, like, man, had we have grown up in a time where the word nappy meant positive, or we started using it that way, or if my mom, my aunts, and, you know, her aunt and those kids at school didn't say it in a way where it was a bad thing, but said it in a way where it was a good thing, well, then I'm sure, like, it would be like some sort of term of endearment. But it makes me think, has the damage been done? Think about the future. It makes me think about our children and how we'll raise our children. Like, for me personally, I don't want to use the word nappy. I don't like the word nappy. It's too much negativity surrounding that word for me to use. So I know when I talk, like, I oftentimes even correct some of my friends sometimes if they'll refer to some of their kids, or one child's got good hair and this one, blah, blah, blah. I say, let's just start getting rid of all of that now. Like, let's say what it is. Like, it's our curls. Like, you have a tighter texture. I was even watching a documentary, and the lady didn't even like the word kinky, okay? She said, I don't like to use that word, and I don't teach my girls to use that word. I teach my girls to say different curl patterns. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let's just describe it kind of how it is, because I feel like the word nappy already has some sort of negative thing. And no matter if it's this small little community over here that's saying, hey, like, you know, oh, your naps, or I love my nappy here, or this, like that, there's still this huge other community that is saying, like, girl, them naps, or, oh, child, that nappy head, child. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes when people are trying to refer to us, it's like, you know, oh, nappy this and nappy that. And I read somewhere else where this girl was talking about how she loved, oh my gosh, what is that movie? It's an Ashton Kutcher movie, y'all. I cannot think about it. But it has Zoe Saldana and Ashton Kutcher. I'll put it down below. But at one point, he said, he calls her, you know, he's just saying to the father, like, oh, you know, like just bragging on her in some sort of way. But he calls her a nappy. I wish my man would. I said, absolutely not. You wouldn't be calling my family. And if they said that too, you know, my family be looking like, what? And I don't think it would matter if it was coming from a white man or a black man. I really don't think so. And I still do understand the point of where people saying, like, I don't want other races, you know, to be, you know, saying nappy, or like this one lady, I looked at interviews or people conducting interviews, and this one lady, she said the word depends on it for her. She said because if her friends are saying it like, oh, nappy or whatever like that, you know, as a fun word, term of endearment, then, you know, she cool with it, which I've never had any of my friends say nappy as a term of endearment. It's always something like, girl, look a little nappy, so I'm gonna need you to get it together. It's never been like that, but that's just me. She said, but if somebody else outside of the race says it, then, you know, I don't really like it. You stepping on thin ice, you know what I'm saying? And it makes me wonder, like, should we even be upholding, taking on words that if somebody else outside of a race says, it's like we're in an uproar. At the same time, like, I get the point. I get the point that people are trying to make about the word nappy. But I just, yeah, I don't know. So this video, it just made me think. It just, you know, made me think about how she said it. She didn't say it in a bad way, but I just could not receive what she said to me.
And I do want to say, y'all, man, without me even bringing it up to her, she called me and she apologized. And again, she didn't say it in a malicious, mean way, but she saw that my response was, I was hurt in what she said. So she apologized, and that meant everything to me. She was so kind, so sweet. And in her culture, because I believe she's Jamaican, that's used as a term of endearment, which I felt that it was. So I just want to say I appreciate her calling me and checking in on me and being so kind to me. It meant everything.
So really, y'all, I'm making this video because it was just like a healing point for me. I couldn't figure out, I'm still in a place of figuring out, like, is any of these feelings bad? Am I in a place, like, because this lady who's a great woman, right, black, beautiful lady, came and told me that basically she wants to see my curls. And part of me be thinking, like, girl, like, are you crazy? She was complimenting you. It's like, where do we stand with it? So all in all, I don't know, but I know this one thing. The word nappy for me still rings as a trigger point. It's something that triggers me and makes me feel not okay. Specifically for me, would not want someone using the word nappy to describe my beautiful curls. And here's the thing. I think we can have like, people have different opinions about natural hair. Some people, like my mom, for instance, she don't have no problem with natural hair if it's nice and big, you know, if it's has some type of kink and curl in it. But sometimes for me, I like a wash and go. I don't always like to stretch my hair. Now, most of the time it's healthy for my hair because it needs to be stretched. But I'm cool whether my hair is like shrunken up or whether my hair is big. I think people have their opinions about, you know, natural hair. It's certain hairstyles they like, hairstyles they don't like, myself as well. But me personally, I just say, like, nappy, whether it's positive or it's negative. Even if I have to do a little cousin's hair or do something like that, I'll just say, oh, okay, you know, her hair just needs to be done, or her curl pattern is a little tighter. Y'all, I'm just conjumbled in my mind, okay? Like, that really took me back. That really did something to my mind. I love my hair, y'all. Don't get me wrong. I love my hair, but I don't want to be called nappy. So I would love to just hear people's opinions on it, because I'm really perplexed by the word. Like, that word really reigns something in me, and it could be, you know, unconscious things, like, you know what I'm saying? My hair has never really been a pick on issue, because for the longest time in middle school, I would wear my hair and stuff like this until, you know, high school, and by that time I loved myself so much, baby, you couldn't tell me nothing about my hair, about my color, about nothing. But that word. Thank y'all so much for watching. If this was all over the place, I'm sorry. This is my first time really doing a video like this, where I'm bringing, you know, facts and different things like that, but I'm also bringing my heart and my feelings. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.
Can't wait another day.